So finally, in episode 8 of the Hainault Loop series, we've made it into the tunnel section as we head to tick off Gants Hill, the easternmost deep-level station on the London Underground.
The next station is Gants Hill.
Gants Hill station is located in Zone 4 of the tube map and has the very uncommon characteristic of lacking a station building on the surface, with the only clues to its existence being the roundels dotted around next to the underpassage entrances, as well as the small ventilation shafts and windows. And so it surprises most people when they discover that there is a huge treasure trove of marvellous Charles Holden Art Deco architecture to be found below this congested, busy roundabout, which we'll have a chance to explore in just a moment.
Doors open at Gants Hill. I can already see there that small archway. It's much more prominent on the opposite platform, but here you can see all the way down into the tunnel, which is just fantastic. And this little gate just flaps in and out, but it's a great view. It's a great view here into the darkness. Of course, there's very stark contrast between how loud it gets in this echoey platform when the train is leaving or pulling in, and then when everyone has left, it's completely quiet, like nothing that we've seen on this series before. But I've just discovered something that I haven't seen before in all my days visiting Gants Hill without filming. I've seen this orange gate which leads into some sort of an area in between the two platforms. So let me know, YouTube, in the comments below, what goes on in between the two platforms. I just saw a member of staff in there, but I think they've gone now. There's a lot of machinery-like sound in there. Let me know.
So yes, even at a deep level station, there is still a lot to find at the end of platforms, where you'll usually find yourself alone from regular commuters, to admire what I think is a fantastic arch that appears both at Gants Hill and Wanstead. On the westbound platform, there are also some staff-only facilities that can be accessed past the Do Not Cross gate. Only enthusiasts will be able to understand why this small cavernous arch is such a novelty find. If you've only ever rushed through this station to get on a train, I bet you haven't had a moment to take a closer look at the gold and cream tiling, a colour scheme which, in the past, would have given a sense of grandness to this platform. Also note that there are roundels both in the massive analogue clocks and in the tiling too, as well as the station name in the Johnston ITC font and labyrinth number 150. If you look across though, the platform wall isn't in its best condition, but we can easily dismiss that and move on to the highlight of the video.
But you see, the highlight of this station is when you go through these lovely doorways that lead all the way down to the set of staircases, and you come into here where there's this Charles Holden design barrel vaulted lower concourse with double-backed benches and uplighters, which of course weren't originally here. Go and check out London Transport Museum's photograph archive. The reason why it very much resembles a station that you would see on the Moscow Metro is that during this sort of period of time when the station was being built, the London Passenger Transport Board actually gave advice to the constructors of the Moscow Metro, and so that sort of inspired them to pick one station in the New Works programme to resemble a Moscow Metro station. It's really great. This is the one thing that makes Gants Hill special.
When I came here with Godwin the other day, he pointed out something that is quite often seen on the Central Line, but which we haven't had a chance to address before.
We've seen that TfL haven't been bothered to replace the whole map. What they've done, they've put a big slab of metal to cover up the Ongar branch which used to operate on the Central Line. Now, you can see the dashed line slightly over there.
Right, time to head up the escalators, but first, look to your left, where you'll find a closed latch in the ground which has been marked with a sign that cautions you of a deep pit inside. Could this potentially be the entrance to the underside of the escalators, used for maintenance? We'll never know, but what we definitely will know is that Gants Hill was one of the final London Underground stations with wooden risers and treads in their escalators.
I think you should certainly first wait for the eastbound platform commuters to go up the escalator before taking your own trip so that you can go in solitude. I've just taken my phone and seen confirmed that definitely yes, these escalators are 30 degrees in angle, but it's very short. It takes you up to the upper concourse where I can already see the lovely box-shaped lights. It's fantastic. First escalator in the series. Tick.
So we've now reached the ticket hall, which can get quite busy during rush hour. Looking at the control room, you'd think at first glance that it is a repurposing of the passimeter, which was installed here to sell tickets to commuters. But that is, in fact, being stored in the Acton depot. So the reason why this control room's windows are being held in an old wooden structure will remain a mystery to me. Outside of the gate line, you will find that upon looking upwards, you can catch a rare glimpse of the outside, with light falling in from the roundabout. And of course, there are all sorts of other amenities to be found, as expected, from a great station like Gants Hill. The subway is an interconnected mess of underpasses which all lead to the station, but people often get lost if they're unfamiliar with the area, and can be guided by maps and signage which TfL has put up around on the walls. Despite assumptions, the subway here is much nicer than the one at Newbury Park, well lit and with great tiling.
If you're confused when traversing the subways underneath Gants Hill Roundabout, then you're not alone, but there are lots of guides around that help you. I'm just emerging out here, right next to the double carriageway, the dual carriageway, right, because Gants Hill connects lots of roads and dual carriageways. I'm splashing on screen right now a map that looks like it's badly drawn, but no, it's just that the layout of this roundabout is very peculiar, and I think my drone will confirm that when I show you some shots that I took with Godwin the other day. This pavement here is definitely the least busy part of this roundabout, where I can actually get up close to the station. But the last time I was here, a whole swarm of birds came off of that building the second I took off, which of course frightened the life out of me, because they came in a massive swarm and started swooping around. So let's hope that in today's flight, as we go and get some shots of the station and roundabout, it doesn't happen again.
Gants Hill is popular amongst restaurant goers, fast food grabbers and afternoon shoppers, so despite the roundabout not being the most pleasant location, people use it very often. The roundabout is also heavily used by non-tube commuters, with 14 routes serving the many bus stops dotted around, the most notable being the SL2, which began services in spring last year. I've just very sneakily made my way here onto this grassy bit at the end of the island. I have to admit, that distance between the roundabout and here is very tempting, but I've just seen that there are some signs which say CCTV cameras are recording you, so I assume that that would be trespassing. I do not recommend going there. If you want to get a good view, you can either zoom in with your lens onto those buildings that stick out, which are really the only exterior parts of the station that are visible, or you could just fly a drone. If you've scored yourself an undeniably sunny day like mine, then definitely the thing to do while you want a break from the trains at Gants Hill is to catch a bus or just walk up to Valentine's Park, which is very close. It's literally just down the road there. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I think the bus is pulling in. Right, let's go. It took just 3 stops on this moderately quiet hybrid bus to get to Valentine's Park.
Thank you.
Once I was in, I knew I would begin to wander around as I always do, but tried my best to stick to today's filming schedule. You know, I don't think words will ever quite be able to describe how beautiful Valentine's Park can get in the early spring season. You got the lake, you got the swans, you got the ducks, you got the bridges, you got the historical parts, you have the playgrounds and the fun fairs, which I'm quite nostalgic about, if I'm to be honest. I also flew my first drone here, had many walks, many roller skating sessions, all sorts of things. Valentine's Park just lives very well in my childhood memories. What can I say? It's brilliant. It's literally rated one of the top 10 best parks in England. Hello. Hello. How you doing? I eventually got to the other side of the park, where you can find the gardens with a cafe and of course the iconic Valentine's mansion, which is a beautiful venue regularly hired out for weddings and ceremonies.
I have to admit, I kind of lost myself in the moment back there at Valentine's mansion because I was asked to leave because it's not open to the public on this specific day. They actually thought that I was the wedding photographer for the venue, so I have no idea what just happened there. I'm now walking down Cranbrook Road. Cranbrook was actually a name that was considered for Gants Hill Station. The other option that they had was North Ilford. Honestly, I would have preferred North Ilford over Gants Hill, but we're going to go downstairs into the station now to find out where the name Gants originates from. It saddens me to see that Metro Coffee Express shop is closed today, but if I were to buy a hot chocolate, then it would most likely be funded by my lovely channel members who are scrolling on screen right now. To get super early access to videos, a badge next to your username in the comment section, priority reply to comments, and a place on this list. And there is a join button on my channel homepage and underneath this video.
Once I'd made my way back down to the lower concourse level, I opened up a book which has been on my bookshelf for a long time. It's the brilliant Why Do Shepherds Need a Bush? A guide which explains the names of every station on the London Underground. The section for Gants Hill tells me that the name comes from the Legant family, who were stewards of Barking Abbey. The area had been previously known as Gants Heath and Gants Grave. This station was one of 3 to house the Plessey Company's munitions factory, which created aircraft parts for the Second World War. However, there isn't much evidence to this factory being here. There are more clues left behind at the last 2 stations on this line, so you'll find out more about this secret wartime factory soon enough. And that's what takes me to the pivotal moment where we find out what place does Gants Hill, the Hainault Loop station with the highest passenger stats, take on our tier list. A generous number 8. I'm getting in the thick of rush hour, so it's time to catch my train.
So this westbound train pulling in right now marks the end of my 3-day filming trip here at Gants Hill Station. I've had a fantastic time. It's now time to move further down the line as we still have 2 more episodes to go in this series. Next up is Redbridge. Thanks for watching. Press subscribe. Have a good day. Bye bye.